Yo, what is going on today, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today's video, we're talking about your guys' hot takes. You guys spend all of your YouTube lives when you're watching me, listening to me talk about Smite and my hot takes. So instead, I decided to look at your guys' hot takes, see what you guys have to say about the game. This is in my community tab that I did, and I just kind of went through it and picked the ones that I would like, this is a hot take, because there were some that were takes, but they weren't really hot. I wanted to try to find some real hot takes. So if you guys did like the video, please give it a like, please subscribe, and let's just jump right in. Shane Irwin 8121 says, the community has killed Smite 1 faster than the devs since the announcement of Smite 2. And frankly, I think that is a hot take, but I also think it's a kind of a correct take. I think the community, the streamers, the players, I think they have become very negative towards the game. I do think part of it is on high-res. Like, I don't want to say it's all on high-res and all on the community. I think it's split almost half and half. The community has not done themselves any favors trying to give the benefit of the doubt to Smite 1 and Smite 2. High-res has not done themselves any favors with how they have decided to get rid of Smite 1, move into Smite 2, and basically how they are transitioning these games. Do I think the community could have done better in multiple different ways? 100%. But it is very hard with how Hi-Res decided to go about this. Basically just giving us an entire year. I don't want to say an entire year. 8 months, 9 months of very little. They've gotten a little bit better in the last few patches just because they kind of like they said, F it and just allow kind of whatever. The community definitely should have been more accepting. I think it's like a little bit of burnout has made them pretty morbid towards these things, but I mean, this is a hot take, but it's not one I completely disagree with. I'll put this in B. The next one from Dragon Tooth 7351, never bring back Invader Curse. The option to invade level 1 creates an actual reason to have 1 minute plus of time before minions spawn to plan out different options for invading, defending from invading, or scouting from information without wards. With Invader's Curse, the only reason for this pre-game time is so players can pee. And I think we have to kind of grade this one on how hot of a take it is, because in my opinion, this is an absolute S tier take, but how hot really is it? It's got to be at least somewhat hot, because I know the average Redditor, the average casual player feels like Invader's Curse is a need and not a we're doing it just because of something else. They feel like it's needed for the game. I think Invader's Curse, like it didn't ruin the game, but it definitely made Smite less appealing to watch in the early portion. From 0 seconds to about a minute and a half, there was very likely nothing happening. I'm going to go to my green and then my purple and then to wave. Now an entire minute's gone by and now the game can kind of start happening. And that's also excluding the first minute and a half beforehand where it's buying items and walking out of base to stand on your own buff. It is very boring and very lame. Invader's Curse was exciting, and there's definitely things they could have done to prevent invading if they really didn't like it, outside of just killing it completely. You could have made it so the enemy does reduce damage to buffs. You could even keep the damage reduction as you walk into the jungle and just and not get rid of their movement speed and their attack speed and all that, if you're worried about supports kind of just walking at you and doing a lot. There's multiple different things you could have done instead of just nuking it outright. So this take I agree with. Is it that hot though? I think it's an A take, because there is at least some players out there that think Invader's Curse is needed. So that enough should, I'm putting it an A because of that. Next take from Griffin. Smite 2 should have starters, classes, and set roles. Feels like an arena match every game with how every god runs around everywhere and can clear and farm everything, including supports. I partially agree with some of this and then disagree with a lot more, because I do think I've always hated in Smite that junglers aren't the only ones really farming. At least in the early game, the jungler should be the one doing the majority of the farming. And in Smite, that's never been the case. I would really, really like it if junglers would be sitting in the jungle for the most part. Mid laners would be sitting in mid. Solos would be sitting in solo. But it's like, oh, we got to do our jungle camp, and then we have to do our split jungle camp, and then we can go to lane. Our jungle camp is spawning again. I don't know if it's because there's so many jungle camps that it's just, it makes no sense to have junglers do them, or if it's just become so ingrained, or it's just so easy to do them, whatever. I think I don't like that. But it seems like this take is more so about Smite 2 should have starters, classes, and set rules for gods, which, I mean, they They kind of do, not necessarily the starters, but the classes and set roles. Most are going to be kind of following in their Smite 1 footsteps. You have like the Smite 1 blueprint of like these gods should be played here. Smite 2 doesn't have that exactly, but you kind of remember that. Bacchus was a support. Bacchus is a support in Smite 2. I don't think they should have starters. I think starters are bad. I think having just tier 1 items is cool. It's an interesting way to do it. It makes it so the level 1 is more like mechanics instead of just like what you're building is your starter item just better. Because like a Warrior's Axe solo laner versus a Bluestone solo laner, the Warrior's Axe solo laner wins most fights. I think it is way more exciting to just have your one item, whether it's a strength item, whether it's a physical protection item, an attack speed item, whatever it is. That's like your strength, and that's what you need to kind of play around instead of, oh, I'm playing to just win this 1v1. If you don't have this item that wins the 1v1, you just lose. I think that's bad. So I like having no starters. And then the classes and set roles, like I said, there's kind of already something there. Do I really care that much? Not really. This is like all around like it feels like it's insinuating that having these would make it so that there's not much of an arena match. But I don't even think adding these would make it feel that way. It's just because the game is new. There's a lot of things they're adding. People don't really know entirely what to do. That's why it feels like an arena match. But like he kind of ends it with something that I agree with, where everyone can farm the jungle, which is kind of lame. So it's kind of all over the place, and I don't really agree with it that much. I'll do another B tier, because it is a hot take. It is. Next up from Happy Rogue. Smite 1 is actually in a very good state right now, and the only reason it isn't fun to play is from one of two valid reasons. People have way too many hours in the game and are just bored, or the matchmaking is horrible because not enough people are playing the game. And this is a S tier take. Absolute S tier. We'll slam it in S tier already. Putting it in S tier already because I could not agree with something more. Smite 1 is very fun. And I've talked to a bunch of other content creators. Kurt, Fine OK, so Weekend, Fine OK, Ducky. They all very much enjoy the game. The meta, whatever you want to call it, the game that we are in right now is very fun to play. The boring part is that not a ton of people are playing, so the games are match made horrible. And I think a lot of the people aren't playing because they are just burnt out. They have too many hours and they're bored of the game now. I think Smite's gotten to the point where they added in a lot of these old items that were just fun to use that were maybe a little overpowered. Like shifters. Shifters as it currently is very overpowered. It's completely overstated. Hastened, I would say it's not overpowered, but it's very fun to play. It can be very frustrating though. If like a fed ADC, solo lane, or whatever gets hastened online and just starts kiting you out and killing you. It is a very enjoyable game to be playing right now, and I have very few downsides to the game. Next up from Crypto Chronos 4099. Smite 2 should remove any relics. No combat blank, no beads. All of those should be actives. Wards become a purchased item, and we get 2 consumable slots again for pots, ward, maybe rituals. Yes, rituals added to the list to make it a hot take. Ooh, wow. Okay, there's a lot to talk about with this one. Removing relics, I'm actually fine with. I don't know if that is a bold take, but I think not having any relics and having only actives is a completely fine thing. I think the balance of the game being dependent on these relics is always a little boring, but if having them all as actives, you can just change the item and balance the item instead of having to balance the game around these relics. So that's interesting. I kind of like it though. Maybe I don't want to do it 100%, but I think it would be interesting to see what the game would look like with no relics, only actives. Wards becoming a purchased item is fine. It's just hard to get people to ward. I'm fine with it. Actually, I disagree with this one. Wards should have become a purchased item. I think wards being given make it so the average game just has more vision in it, which I think is good for the average player. When we get to like SPL, maybe there's like a way to ward more. Maybe there's a support item that gives you a ward every 30 seconds that lasts for 30 seconds, or every 60 seconds that lasts for 30 seconds. Something like that I think could be cool. But I think wards being given is a good spot to be in. Going to this, the final portion of it, just touching on pots. Pots are so OP right now that it is crazy how much value you actually get from them. 20 health tick every second is crazy. Your autos early game are like 40. So every 2 seconds you're healing up an auto. That's insane. For the rituals take, the rituals were absolutely busted, but they were kind of cool. Like one-time, very powerful effects. It would have almost been cool to cap it at you only get one of these a game, so use it wisely. Like one of each of them. So then you actually have to think about when you're using it. It can't just be, oh, I'm going to buy this 1000 TP because I have the gold for it to TP back to lane. That was a little lame. but like literal one-time effect per games with these rituals would honestly be really exciting, and I think that'd be cool. I'm liking this. I'm gonna give this another S tier take. I kind of like that. The next take from Pokerface Lol: Maui is better in mid than as a support. And this is a hot take. This is a very hot take. I don't think I've ever heard, seen, even, I don't think anyone's even thought something like this. So this is a very hot take, but it is not a take I can get behind. Maui support is such a good support because he just provides pressure in lane. He has a really good CC. He's got good self-PL. He's got really good engage. In mid, he struggles to farm mid camps. His farm in actually clearing the wave is probably not too bad with the autos that he can hit 3 minions and then his 1 almost clears by itself. So his clear is probably not that bad, but you're just uber reliant on hitting your ult to do damage. Your 2 doesn't do any damage. Your 3 is your escape tool, so it's very rarely using that for damage. So if you miss your 90-second cooldown ultimate, all you have is your 1, which is a single target ability. So this is a very hot take, and I respect that, but it is going in the D tier. Plague Demon 98 says some gods need full kit reworks instead of minor reworks that always befall them. Hyras needs to learn to take the risk instead of playing it safe. So I think this is a take out of ignorance. And again, ignorance is never a bad thing. If you are ignorant to something, that just means that whatever, you just don't understand completely the scenario. So I'm ignorant to a lot of things. I don't want it to sound like ignorance is like a horrible thing. Hyras minor reworks most characters instead of full kit reworking characters because each individual god has their own community of people that just absolutely adore playing this god as is. So even like minor reworks can always be really risky, but full kit reworks can just ruin the community of that god. And it's the same thing if you guys pay attention to League of Legends much. League is a lot more willing to do full kit reworks, but that also in terms comes with them being all right with pissing off a large majority of their player base, because there's a lot of like YouTube videos, insanely high charting Reddit posts that are like, Riot has ruined my god, or my champion, I guess. I loved playing Aatrox beforehand. This new Aatrox just isn't for me. I'm done with the game. And it's got like thousands and thousands of likes and reposts or whatever. Riot is willing to take that risk with more people playing this god, getting ready the community with them with this rework. And I think Hyras is a lot more smart with it, where it's like, why have a full kit rework when we can just make a new character or make a new god and not rework the one that people already enjoy? And I kind of think I prefer that. I used to be of the opinion, I was in the same spot where I thought that they should be reworking characters more. Full reworks. If a character is not good, it needs a new rework. I've changed my tune on it. We'll put this in D tier because I think there are some characters that like a minor rework and a full rework should have just happened. Like I think Persephone probably should just had a full rework instead of a minor rework. Like her 1 is basically the same thing. 2 is essentially the only really different ability. Passive 3. She had like I guess it was more of a middle ground because it wasn't a full rework. It tried to keep her general theme. But I mean, even think about that. There's a lot of people that hate playing Persephone or hate Smite now because Persephone's removed from the game. So, and the last one, because I've been going for a long time. I've been talking a lot. By Darmok Jalad 5737. Teleport is the most unskilled interactive relic in the game. It is never fun buying Blink and solo and outplaying someone only for them to immediately TP back, and you just have to lose 2 whole waves walking back. I think it's dumb that you get rewarded for playing bad. And I can understand where this is coming from. TP is not an enjoyable relic at all, but it's almost like it's a necessary evil because solo laners kind of have to get involved in the fight somehow, and the ability to traverse the map with TP opens up for them to play just kind of more aggressive. Like I get the idea of this because it is like what he says, where buying Blink and solo, outplaying, and then you being like 1 health, having to back, they just TP back, so you're like getting bullied out. Like I get that, 100% I get that. But if solo laners didn't have teleport, it becomes more likely that solo laners are just bot perma pushing waves instead of actually like trying to group for team fights. I don't really know the way to avoid that, because it almost feels like one side of the map is AFK split pushers because the other side of the map is the one getting fought on. It sometimes happens the opposite way, where solo laners getting permanently fought on, and the ADC role is the one that is bot pushing. Do I think that there's a world that exists where TP doesn't and the game is completely balanced? Absolutely. I don't think TP is needed. It's not like it's a necessary evil of like balance for the game, but it just makes it so solo laners can make plays on the opposite side of the map. I think there maybe is a gameplay design where maybe you get rid of teleport and you, I don't know, like even getting the movement speed out of base kind of makes up for teleport, where you don't lose out on as much as you could if you had no TP. But I don't know. I think it'd be cool to try the game without teleport, because I've talked to some of the solo laners and they are down for no TP. So maybe it's not even like something that's needed anymore. Maybe that's something that was needed back before macro really existed in Smite. I think this is a good take. I'm fine with getting rid of it because it is very unskilled. Actually, this isn't even asking to get rid of it. The hot take is just teleport is really unskilled. Agreed. Teleport is very unskilled. It makes the macro a lot less important for solo laners and for everyone else around the map. I agree. I'm changing it up to S tier because it wasn't even asking to get rid of teleport. It was just saying teleport is unskilled. 100% agreed. That's a good way to end the video too. So there it is. There's your guys' hot takes. Let me know again how you guys liked the video. If you guys did, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Smite 1, Smite 2 content is going to be flying out. So I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.